Platforms. For those of you on TikTok, go ahead and click the link in my profile to be able to join in on YouTube. Here we go. Good morning, Grand Rising, aloha, and welcome back, fellow wolves, shifters, light guardians. Welcome back to another episode of Waking Up with Wolf. As we get things started here, I'm just going to take 2 seconds because the Instagram feed didn't launch properly. So, oh no. Here we go. Okay, 1 second here. For those of you who are tuned in the live chat, go ahead, leave a comment down below, and let's see, now it's working. There we go. Okay, Instagram is live. Hello, Instagram. Woof, woof, woof. Welcome to Waking Up with Wolf. For those of you on all platforms, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. This is just a quick 30-minute broadcast that we do just to be able to hang out with each other first thing in the morning, to be able to set some intentions for the day, to be able to just share some wisdom, to do some tarot and oracle reading, and to be able to finish off with a little bit of meditation before we move into some ecstatic dance for our leading members, for our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much, everyone, for just being here. And again, here we are, another day, another opportunity to be able to show up, to be able to help change the world, and really just checking in. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone feeling today? What is your emotional weather today? How is your excitement levels for today? And what are your intentions for today? I just want to be able to invite you to use this as a space for yourself to really just begin connecting to your heart space and really just begin connecting with that breath. It's so easy for us to just kind of like rush through our morning and to just be able to be like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. But what if what we gotta do is to actually just slow down? Is to actually just bring it back to this moment, is to bring it back to the heart. And so if you haven't done that yet, I invite you to do it here with us together and to really just allow yourself to be here in this moment. We'll move into a tarot reading in the next little bit. And again, I just want to be able to share with you some of my own inspiration from the day. And it's really interesting because like doing this broadcast is a challenge for me, because it's just like, okay, like I want to be able to show up with a little piece, a little gem, a little thing of wisdom that I can share. So I'm like constantly like looking to my world around me and being able to see the inspiration so that I can bring it back to deliver it to you. And you know, one of the things that inspired me today was, again, just really bringing it back to the importance of the simple acts of kindness that we can do to be able to make a big difference in this world. And this morning when I woke up, I went for a walk, and the sun was up, and just went and got a cup of went to the local Tim Hortons. That's our coffee place, just to be able to get a cup of coffee. And outside there was a good friend of mine who I can't say whether or not he is officially homeless, but he definitely is a person who appears to fit the characteristics of what people would identify as a homeless person. But he's a good friend of mine, and I hadn't seen him in quite some time. And so for me to just be able to kind of like say hello to him, and to even just be able to buy him a coffee and to just be able to have that little bit of conversation was, for me, very, very important, very, very meaningful. And I think for each and every single one of us here, again, you know, it's always going to be those little things that we do that make the big difference. And oftentimes, again, you know, it's just the mere act of being seen that really means the most to people. You know, like, yes, here I was, I bought him a coffee, but what was more meaningful than the coffee was the mere fact of me just being able to see him in that moment, to acknowledge him, to witness him. And it's interesting because I think a lot of times when, you know, we're out and about and we may see people who are less privileged than us, oftentimes it's like we have a hard time looking at them because we can't see them without seeing ourselves. And sometimes, you know, it's easy for us to just be able to kind of like ignore the situation. Yet in the process of doing that, that is us like unconsciously or sometimes consciously almost kind of like ignoring a part of ourselves. Like there's a little bit of discomfort that we face when we go out of our way to say hello to someone who may be in a less privileged situation than us. And so again, you know, if you do have people in your community who are less privileged than you, absolutely, if you have the resources available, please, by all means, you know, go out and get them a coffee or get them a little bit of food or give them some change, whatever the case may be. But don't underestimate the power of your presence. Don't underestimate the power, the value of your presence, the mere act of you just saying hello to them. And the mere act of you just being able to give them that moment where your heart and their heart get to meet, and you get to be able to just like feel them. Because I mean, how many times, you know, I think a lot of times when we suffer as individuals is when we are not seen, or perhaps when we are seen but we aren't truly seen. You know, for example, like say from the perspective of a person who may be on the street, you know, to them, in their experience, like they are a son, a daughter, they are an artist, they are someone who is passionate about XYZ, they are a dog lover, you know, they are a nature lover. And yet to someone else who doesn't fully know that story, when they see them, if they're not really seeing them, they'll just be like, oh, that's a homeless person, period. And how do you think that makes that homeless person feel to just be in that situation and just be like, well, yes, my situation may be the fact that I may not necessarily have the privilege to be under a house right now, but I am not a homeless person. That is my situation. But who am I really? Who are you really? What do you want to be seen as? I really invite you to just be able to take a moment here to just kind of like reflect on that, and even leave some comments there in the chat. Who do you want to be seen as in this moment? Who are you? Like really, really, who are you? You know, so like, what are you passionate about? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? And to really begin to develop a bit more of a relationship with yourself. Because I think when you develop more of a relationship with yourself, you're able to kind of communicate that often in unspoken ways that allows others to be able to pick it up, that allows others to be able to see it. So when we're out there, and if we're dancing, if we're out there and we're doing our art and we're creating we're bringing our vibe out into the world, people will see that and they'll be able to interpret their own story, and what they may see will be something a little bit closer to who you see yourself as. But ultimately, the only way that we can truly see someone is to meet them, is to say hello to them, is to go up and ask them questions, and to give them an opportunity for them to be able to tell each other, who are you? Who are you? You know, so I really, really invite you to be able to continue to explore this journey of meeting yourself, and thus in turn being able to meet others as well. Let's continue to really deepen this practice of really seeing each other. So reading some of the comments in the chat, Autumn saying, I am an artist, I am developing a business, I am a developing business owner, and I have been homeless. And there's so many, like, again, you know, without fully knowing the full stories. Like, absolutely, there are people who are tuned in right now who have had their own stories that could relate to the circumstance of what I was telling about as well. And that's the thing, right? Like, who we are is our story, yet it is more than our story. So would that person be a homeless person? To call them that would be missing the point. You know, it's like, who they are is something much deeper. They are a person who has experienced homelessness, and thus in turn has perhaps learned to persevere, who has risen through it. And through there, you know, when you really see them, it's like, who are they? It's like, they are a person who has a tremendous amount of strength, a deep, deep, deep depth of experience, one that many people will not know. And thus, in turn, their story can actually be a beacon for others as well. You know, I am incredibly inspired by the people who have who have risen through times of hardship. And even for those who are still in the experience of hardship, you know, like we have this mixed up way of being able to perceive the world where we value each other's worth by, you know, like their accomplishments and by their material gains and things like that. But what if we really, really went out of our way to be able to understand that each and every single person's story is equally as important, is equally as magical, is equally as valid, is equally as transformational, because it is soul, it is spirit, right? Like we from this place of privilege, those of us who, you know, are here using a computer, who are in the process of going through this spiritual awakening, you know, we're in this place of privilege where we can kind of, you know, think about the idea of like, oh, you know, like everything happens for a reason, and I'm a soul, like having a human experience. and this is, you know, this is life, this is magical, da, 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 da. And yet, why do we sometimes struggle to be able to put that same perception towards the way that we see others? Why do we often separate ourselves? Why do we often unconsciously divide ourselves between ourselves and others? Oh, I am a unique spiritual human being having this profound synchronistic experience, and yet that person over there, they're not as much of what I am, maybe, so to speak. You know, we kind of get into this habit of thinking that. But what I really want to do, and then I'll get into a quick tarot reading from the Lightworker deck. Yo, Obvious, what's up? Where, again, you know, I really, really encourage each and every single one of you to really develop a little bit more of that self-awareness, where you can begin to dissolve the boundaries between yourself and others, and you can really start to see, like, the miracle in others, to really be able to see the spirit in others. And those could be family members, those could be neighbors, those could be people that might kind of like come in and be like, I think what you're doing is stupid, I think this is dumb, I don't agree with like what you're doing. And yet, even within your heart, can you still see them as soul, as spirit? And I think what happens sometimes, and this happens to us too, is that we as a soul, you know, it can become obvious that we're a soul when we're kind of in this process of practice, and in the process of expression and exuberation. However, over time, what happens is that the soul, you know, you look at the story of a newborn, when they're born, they're pure. It's like this pure vessel of light. It's very obvious that a newborn is like this soul. There's no story to it. You're like, whoa, like this is soul. Like this is something, right? Like you look at it and it's just like, this isn't a homeless person. This isn't, you know, someone who, you know, like failed and dropped out of high school. This isn't someone who's like, this is a pure vessel. And then over time we develop these stories, and as we develop these stories, it kind of, and I've talked about this before, it's like it puts on like this layer of mud, this layer of dirt. It kind of builds up on us over time. And over time, I think what happens is not only do we have trouble shining our light out to the world, but it makes it harder for other people to see us through the dirt, through the dust that is kind of built up on the light of our heart. And yet what we can do, for those of us who carry this awareness, is to be able to understand that when we look at people, can we see through that layer of dirt? Can we see through that layer of dust? Can we see through that husk? Can we see the light that is inside? And each and every single person shines the exact same light with the exact same amount of like beauty. And yet the only thing that's different is that sometimes it's not as obvious because there's a little bit of dirt on top. And that dirt may be literal, and that dirt may be metaphysical and metaphorical. But we're here as a community, as individuals, to be able to practice, again, kind of clearing the dirt off the lens of our hearts is one of the ways that I think it would. See some of the comments. Jennifer, like the lost souls in the movie Soul. Excellent example with that, where again, it literally was that, like they like build up this kind of like emotional dust and stuff like that. So it's like, can we be the souls from Soul, from the movie Soul, which I highly recommend people watch if they haven't watched that. And to be able to see that even in the midst and the layers of like the people out there who, you know, you may just think and be like, oh, they're stupid, they're worse, they're it's like, can you see the soul in that? Can you see them? This is a powerful thing, and I'll end here and then we'll get into our reading. You have the ability to see people even when they don't see themselves. You have the ability to see people even when they do not see themselves. Think about that. That's pretty powerful. Like that is the power of the seer. So once you've unlocked this wisdom of like, yes, this is inside all of us, you know it, and you can start looking for it. And the act of seeing can become a practice. The next time someone comes and they piss you off or something like that, or they trigger you, or they do something that you're just like, Challenge yourself in that moment, because they are a mirror for you to be able to see the ways in which you see. And thus, in turn, as you see, you will thus in turn see yourself. Ah, yes, I am someone who is understanding. I am someone who is empathetic. I am someone who is able to nurture those who may not be nurturable. I am someone who can really be able to like see. So what do you see? What do you see within yourself, within others? So does that resonate with you guys? Is that a little bit of insight and inspiration for your day? Drop an 1111 in the chat. That's my little babbling for tomorrow. Let's get into a quick little tarot reading from our Lightworker tarot deck. Again, for those of you who are tuned in after this broadcast, we're going to do our regular ecstatic dance meditation and inspirational team discussion. This is for our leading members. If you guys haven't already yet, be sure to check out our Patreon, and that's where you can join as a leading member to be able to get additional access to all of the beautiful things that we do here within the community. I'll just post a link here within the chat, and you guys are welcome to be able to sync up there and connect to our Discord channel. And if you guys want to book an individual private reading with me, please feel free to do that, and you can do that through my beacons page, and all the info is in the YouTube here as well. And yeah, lots of other stuff happening in the community. And also for updates, I hate to say this, but the Conscious Creator work period, the Conscious Creator meetup that I was originally talking about for Wednesday, that's going to be postponed. Just because I do have some other work that I need to be able to focus on first, to be able to make sure that the bills are getting paid. And then hopefully by next week, we'll do the Conscious Creator work period. And as well, this Thursday, we may do like a regular team hangout, but it won't be like a Paradigm Shift Radio broadcast, because it takes me a lot of focus to be able to build that up, and I want to be able to build it up properly. So stand by for that, but we still do have our Conscious Creator work periods today, 2:30 p.m. for the leading members, and lots of other stuff happening, and then I'll be here Monday to Friday nonetheless. So cool, thanks for the 1111s. Let's do a quick little reading here. All right, okay. Go ahead, set your intentions. What card? Show us what we need to see. Let's do a quick reading, quick little message from the universe here. So show us what we need to see. You guys can drop your wizard noises in the chat. All right. Okay, so the message that we got for today is number 16, the Dark Night of the Soul, which again is relative to what we were talking about here, where I think what I'll do, as opposed to just reading this as the Dark Night of the Soul, to be able to kind of like interpret this through the lens of the story that we were just kind of referring to, where it's like, can we see others when they are going through their Dark Night of the Soul, you know? So I'm going to read this real quick, and then we're just going to get into a closing meditation before we get off. So, okay. Here we go. Thank you again, everyone. I love you guys so much. And oh, if you're already signed up for the Patreon, drop a 777 in the chat. If you're thinking of signing up for the Patreon, drop a 555 in the chat. And yeah, donations, everything, bookings and stuff like that, super appreciated. And I love you guys so much, and it helps me show up for the community to do the work that we're doing together. So here we go. Dark Night of the Soul. Gonna read this, and you guys are just welcome to listen. So you are ready for more real, radiant relationship with the divine. Your preconceived ideas and safe limiting beliefs may be sacrificed in order for this to happen. To the divine, these are only the clothing of your spirit. They are impedance to the absolute intimacy the divine seeks with you. Very relative to what we were talking about there. So again, it's kind of like it's like the experiences they're like clothing, opposed to like the actual like soul itself. You might feel vulnerable or uncertain as the divine goes about stripping away these barriers. This is when you enter the dark night of the soul. You understand there is nothing to rely upon but the divine, and you will find it difficult to trust at times. The night will end, however, and the sweetness of the divine dawning in your heart shall render all worthwhile. But for now, you are meant to feel exactly as you feel. You are not doing something wrong. You are moving closer to the divine. Even though you are already on a spiritual path this lifetime, you can go deeper. Sometimes people know this and yet are afraid. Familiar with emotional drama, they are hesitant to let go of what they know, even if that is emotional suffering and mental anguish. So again, it's kind of like we get almost like attached to the stories that kind of like keep us like linked into this, again, kind of like this narrative of lack, so to speak. So it's interesting that we can kind of do that. So again, it's about being able to kind of like release our attachments even to our own stories, whether we realize that they're unconsciously holding us back. The fear prevents them from being willing to trust in the loving hand reaching out to them. It might seem silly, yet letting go of fear to take hold of the hand of love can be an extraordinary difficult circumstance. If you don't trust that love will hold you, letting go can seem like allowing yourself to fall into the abyss. A feeling of madness may plague you as you wonder if you are sane to leave a known world behind you and enter into the darkness of your own doubt and fear. You sense that the old self and the familiar ways will not survive the dark night. Even if you know in your heart that this sort of spiritual death is an opening to new life, it can still be profoundly confronting. The only way to end the dark night is to go through it, to endure it, and to know, although you will not understand how it could be possible, it will transform itself into the sweetest grace. In time, you shall be on your knees, not in despairing prayer, dearest child of love, but in gratitude, peace, and devotion. Though it begins as a challenge, the dark night of the soul will become a saving grace. Love knows you are ready. No matter what you may think at this moment of struggle, you are ready to take this spiritual test and emerge more in love with the divine than ever. Remember, this is an advanced initiation and therefore challenging at a profound spiritual level. Therefore, get some support. Even though you walk the path alone, another can help bear witness to your process and remind you that you are on a noble path of empowerment, love, and truth. Although you may feel your guidance has abandoned you, in truth, they are with you ever more closely, whispering words of encouragement, love, and hope. Look for the love within you and let it guide you through the dark night. It will lead you faithfully and in perfect divine timing into the light of your sweetest morning. So, very beautiful card. Again, this is one of the ones where it's like, we could do an entire podcast on this. We have done an entire podcast on this. And again, relative to this, it's just a very, very powerful card to be able to remind us that even in those circumstances where, yes, the challenges may be upon us, those challenges are there to be able to help assist us within our transformation. So for those of us right now, I think it's kind of one of the things to know that like the dark night of the soul, it's not always going to be something that it's like this like big thing. Like sometimes the dark night of the soul can literally be like an afternoon. It can literally be like a moment that we're kind of going through. The dark night of the soul is something that, we can kind of begin to change our relationship with. And I think what we can find is that as much as we're capable to relative to the circumstance, we may find that we can't avoid the dark night of the souls, but we can actually get better at moving through them. So whereas in the past, you might feel like it's like, oh, here comes the dark night of the soul, right? And what is the dark night of the soul? If anything, it's just kind of like moving into the shadow, moving into the unconscious. Like that's what it is, So the dark night of the soul, that can be a period, literally just a moment within your day. And yet within this moment, we have the opportunity to be able to intentionally bring awareness to it, bring about more consciousness, and then thus be able to move through it with more grace. So I think as you continue to spiritually awaken on your journey, what you'll notice is that it's not that you'll find yourself experiencing the dark night of the soul less, but it's that you'll be able to experience your ability to move through it with more grace. So a dark night of the soul that might have taken you months, maybe it will take you days. Because how do you go through it quicker? It's because it's a process of being able to bring more consciousness and bring curiosity and to know your support systems and to have your routines and your community involved to be able to help assist you with this process. So that's again why even just here, us doing these little broadcasts and us doing our ecstatic dance right after this is a very, very powerful way for us to be able to process the energies that we are moving through and to, like I said, to be able to shake off the dirt before it kind of builds up. The dark night of the soul can almost become something that happens as a result of us not shaking the dirt off. So we don't shake the dirt off and it just kind of piles and piles and piles and piles and piles. And then we're inside this dark husk. It's like a cocoon for us. And yet even then, it's about breaking out. It's about being able to spread the wings. So again, it's kind of one of those things where really trust in the process. but at the same time, show up to meet the universe halfway as well. You are incredibly capable, and develop a routine and develop a system and develop like a movement and a connection and a practice that will really, really help you with being able to kind of like notice when the energy is becoming stagnant, and then to move it. So be aware of stagnation. There's a difference between stagnation and stillness. So again, it's about being able to like consciously move the energies in it with much more intention. So cool. All right, team, let's just finish it off with a quick little meditation, and then we'll just move into our ecstatic dance. And again, the ecstatic dance is a private Zoom room for our Patreon supporters, for our leading members. So if you guys want to join in on the Patreon, you can do that, and you can find the link for the ecstatic dance as a recent Patreon only post, but it's also in the Discord for the Patreon supporters there. So let's just take a moment here. I just invite you, if you haven't already yet, to just take a moment to really just connect with your breath. And just close your eyes. We're literally just going to be here just for like 2-3 minutes. So let's see, how deep can you get? How much can this mean to you just in 2 minutes, without me even really giving you any instructions? Just notice, because you already have the guidance within you. You have the ability within you. So just take a moment here. When you're ready, if you're able to, just go ahead, close your eyes, and just connect with your breath. Bring yourself to this awareness of gratitude. What are you grateful for right now? What are you grateful for today? Take 3 more breaths here. Just setting that intention for the day, moving through this day with grace, with optimism, trust, all the things you already have inside you. Slowly, when you're ready, you can gently bring your awareness to the space around you, wiggle your toes and fingers, and gently open your eyes. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in for our quick little broadcast. I hope this is something where, you know, for some of you, you can just kind of like tune this in the background, and it's just a thing that you can do while you're puttering and getting your morning started. And again, I'm looking forward to being able to do some ecstatic dance with the leading members, with our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much, everyone. Please feel free to leave any comments of gratitude and blessing here, as well as in the Discord chat. And we'll wrap up this broadcast in a minute. And again, if you would like to be able to connect with me further, be sure to check out my beacons links, and also the links all in this YouTube video. That's where you can book one-on-one sessions with me for dream discussion, for one-on-one oracle and tarot, as well as for custom meditations. So super awesome opportunities there. And be sure to check out the Patreon, where you can become a leading member, join our exclusive events, get additional support to be able to help assist you within our team of conscious media creators. And please feel free to check out the item shop, and that's where you can get buttons, which we're in that side, buttons, and also the light guardian crystals there as well. And yeah, that's all for now. Thank you guys so much. And for the leading members, go ahead, I'll open up the Zoom room for the ecstatic dance, and we will see you guys in our private Zoom room. And if you're watching this in the future, be sure to join on the Patreon. It's only $11 a month. Get exclusive to the ecstatic dance and all the other events that we do Monday to Friday. And again, I'm live here at 9:30 a.m. EDT, and then ecstatic dance and meditation is at 10 a.m. EDT. So cool. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and shutting this broadcast down. And let's go get ready for our morning ecstatic dance. And again, honestly, the ecstatic dance, it's not even just dance. It's like literally us like exercising. So if you're looking for like accountability partners to exercise with, definitely join in for this. And we just like listen to music and exercise together. So it's pretty cool. So. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. See you in the Zoom room. Much love, and thank you again, everyone, for watching this in the future. Oh, please feel free to screenshot this. Screenshot. Pew, 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 pew. If you guys post this, I'll reshare your stories. Pew, pew, pew. Okay. All right, see you guys in the Zoom room, and see you in the future. Much love. Thank you again. Have a great day. Awesome.